quick look at the podcast to listen to. If you scroll up, just have a look, see if you've got the same kind of stuff. The three main groups to follow on Facebook. First one, AZ Entrepreneurs. Second one, FBA UK. And third one, Daily Business Hustle. Right, so I'm going to listen to this podcast, the Amazing Seller podcast, to keep me motivated whilst I'm doing this product research. The quick update of how things are going today is not good. Turns out that UPS forgot to send 2 whole boxes, so I've got all this stuff, and this is what my living room looks like. It's a total mess, so it's really frustrating. Waiting on them coming today, so hopefully deliver 2 more. Although they haven't even told me when it's going to come. It's a bit annoying, actually. Pretty annoying. Second thing, I sent in a listing that said there was a set of 3, and I sent them in an individual. It's got to recall all that stock, so just one big waste of time and effort, really. Thinking maybe I should have taken my time whilst listing a bit more, but then in general the ROI is less when you take your time. It's best to be productive on things, I think. I'm going to read a quick summary of a book on this app called Blinkist. Basically, I'm too lazy to read the entire thing, so this sums it up for you. Right, this one looks pretty relevant to what I do. It's called the Everything Store. It's all about Amazon and its CEO, Jeff Bezos. Right, I think I'm about to upgrade to the premium. I've had a month of free access, and now I'm going to listen to this because it's quite useful to sort of hear book summaries whilst I'm doing. Right, guys, so if you want more Snapchat followers, I'd recommend you download this app. It's called Ghost Codes, and it's a discovery platform for Snapchat. And also, I'd appreciate if you heart me on it. Just search Pete_9071 and give me some hearts. Cheers.
Good enough. You might have not picked the right product, but are we living in a world 2012 that's so much better than your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents' generation?
I was looking at the day's ended a lot worse than yesterday, but I've been pretty distracted today with Ghost Codes and other things. So it's not entirely negative that I've been distracted, because I've been watching a few people's stories and keep up to date with them. I just want to thank people for following me so far. Cheers. So I'm going to start off the educational part of the day with this video that Gary Vaynerchuk's put out. It's all about the Musical.ly app. I just want to learn about it. A Gary Vaynerchuk video that he pretty much used the entire thing to just collect data on what was going on in the market. It was pretty funny. But apparently Twitter's going to be big. I was just going to listen to this podcast about innovation. I'll sum up what it says after the 3 main things that keep companies innovative. Right, I just want to go through the 3 main points that we talked about on that podcast just then. 1 was to basically spend money on prioritising innovation in the company. Number 2 was to work from the customer backwards rather than just random brainstorming, so it tends to lead to a better innovative solution. And number 3 was to create an environment where it's okay to fail. So you might even monetize people failing, because creating a learning environment for innovation. So I was going to listen to another business podcast. This one's how the 99 Designs CEO manages his company. So I want to just briefly describe what was said on the podcast and what you can expect if you want to listen to it. So a lot of it was actually quite specific to the company he had, but it's still quite a good story he has, and he's made hundreds of millions of dollars from it. The main things he said were learning from mistakes, talk about copycats, he mentioned a number of tools, and just spoke about how he did it, really. Right, so I haven't slept like, I think it's 32 hours now in a row. I'm absolutely knackered. I didn't do it by choice, like I just couldn't sleep. I was brainstorming other stuff to post on Snapchat basically. I've got like a little plan that I'm going to do. The main thing I'm going to do is I'm going to post book summaries. So I'm actually giving like fairly valuable information, like rather than posting rubbish. This is the first book review. It's all about The Everything Store, which is the book about Jeff Bezos, the founder and CEO of Amazon. First point is to focus on the customer and work backwards, rather than focusing on competition. The second point is to be frugal. Only spend money on things that directly affect the customer experience. So the third point is to always encourage critical thinking and think about why when employees are giving ideas, making them explain them as well. The fourth is to keep to small teams in meetings, which Bezos calls the 2 pizza rule. Okay, so the fifth is data, data, data. Focus purely on data when making decisions, no anecdotal evidence. Sixth is to focus on the long-term value. It's all about long-term customer value. Don't just focus on the 3-month quarterly goals. My seventh is to reward innovation attempts by employees by giving them materialistic-based prizes for having a go. I'm just going to catch up on the latest Gary Vaynerchuk content. Got 3 more videos to watch now. I'll let you know what I think about it after. Watching Gary Vaynerchuk just then, I think it was alright, but mainly it was just talking about how some people have the motivation but not the talent to get to the top. Right, speaking about Amazon today, it's got me sort of thinking about a thought I had about the long-term future of Amazon. I reckon from 2020 till 2027, they'll absolutely crush it. Because I reckon I'll have like so much infrastructure to be able to get stuff to the customers straight away. But I think that could eventually work against them. Once 3D printers come in and the infrastructure becomes completely useless, they've got like hundreds of billions of pounds worth of infrastructure which is worth nothing pretty much overnight. Use their 2 main competitive advantage, which is 1, getting into the customer fast, and 2, bulk buying. Both will go to the 3D printer. Obviously I'm saying this is going to happen by 2030, like it might not happen, but if it does, we'll have to see how they adapt really. Before, I just want to try and explain why I think 3D printers will be in everyone's home by 2030 time. The first reason is it cuts out stages in the supply chain, so it cuts out the postage, the wholesale and the manufacturing, so it's cheaper for the customer basically. The second reason is because it's going to get to the customer faster. Like I think eventually be able to literally print something off in like 10 minutes. Third is because you don't have to be in for delivery or anything. Like you don't have to like wait in for some guy to deliver it, so it's better. Obviously all this is just my opinion, but I've backed it up with reasons. I think it's definitely relevant to people who run their own companies and customers as well, I guess. So you know I'm quite new to this Snapchat thing. I just figured out how to see who's viewed your thing, so I'm going to start watching all your guys' content. Just finished watching Gary V. It's funny because this guy called Charlie, who I'm going to put up on screen, asked my opinion on him. I'm just going to give it to you now. Although I do like him, I do think it's a bit too sort of gut feeling based. Like I wish he'd give reasons for stuff. But I think that's mainly why people think he's full of BS. Seems to be sort of shocked that he's getting hated on. It's like it's because you're not giving reasons for stuff. Like it's just sort of, I don't know. Like obviously it's going to get hate. Alright, sorry to anyone who might have got slightly annoyed about my comments about Gary Vee earlier. I do honestly like him, but that would be my sort of main criticism of him really. Really need to get back on the hustle next week. It's been embarrassing how distracted I've been with ghost codes and Snapchat and all that kind of stuff. I need to get back on it, man. I'll say thanks for everyone who's hearted me on Ghost Codes. Like, I'm trying to heart everyone back. Like, it's a little bit spammy, a bit silly as well, but like, whatever. Like, honest to God, thanks. Right, guys, like, after my little comments about Gary Vee and lack of reasons, I want to at least give sort of my opinion of why Snapchat's taking off. I sort of start off with a consumer's point of view, so the person viewing the stories rather than posting the stories. Okay, so like, the first reason I think is people like stories. Like, people have liked hearing about other people for years for whatever reason, like, but they like it. Like, and the second main reason I'd give, because it's got sort of like human / authentic element to it, so it's easy to connect with it, and people like connecting with other people. I'm sort of going to give my opinion on why creators like it. Again, just my opinion, not fact, but this is what I think. There isn't as much sort of criticism on this platform. Like, you can't get dislikes, you can't get a lack of likes, and you can't get sort of negative comments. Really, the creator gets sort of positive reinforcement from views rather than likes, so they're still getting something from it. Third point, like, in my opinion, it's quite easy to create content. Like, you just talk about your life pretty much, so I think it's quite easy. I'm gonna catch up on more Gary Vaynerchuk. I've got 3 videos to watch. I'll say what I think after, if I think anything. Finished up watching that Gary Vee stuff. Like, I also rewatched the Ask Gary Vee show. I'm just gonna tell you what I think of it all. I think that episode of the Ask Gary Vee show is like one of the best he's done. Like, he gave out so much good information. Like, literally, like 3 or 4 questions were really useful. So it's quality. I reckon like the best shows tend to be when he's got a guest on. Like, I think the 2 different opinions sort of adds value to the show. Yeah, regret is poison video as well was awesome. Like, it is true, you do tend to regret things you don't do rather than things you actually do. The video about Nintendo not adapting to change interest as well. Like, I am surprised it didn't come up with a games app whilst all that was exploding. I think the Daily V was awesome as well. Like, it is important to realise that people are motivated by different stuff. So like, you've got to give them what they need in order to be most motivated. I think I will actually use quite a lot of stuff he said today. Like, that's if I get somewhere. Like, I may well get nowhere, but you'll have to follow and see, basically. Earlier, like, I think I might have given Gary the idea to do Daily V. I'll show you this comment I put, and he started it 2 weeks after I did this. Obviously, it might have been just pure coincidence, but like, it's quite weird how that happened. I know he pays attention to his comments, so I was like, did I cause that? So I'm just going to watch this motivation speech by Simon Sinek. It was recommended me by Coco Shiato, who does comedy-based snaps. Just finished watching that video. Like, it was pretty good. It was all about how saying why you do something appeals to a more emotional level in people when hiring and selling to people. So it's good. I was sort of like thinking about like my motivation. I think my long-term motivation is to be known for creating the best products and services in the world. Like, hands down, the best. Shorter-term motivation is to build up enough money from this eBay and Amazon stuff so I can launch my own store and actually do what I really want to do, like on an emotional level. So I'm going to try and do 2 book summaries a week, business-based books, so hopefully you can learn from it. I'm going to be using this app called Blinkist, and the first book's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Point number 1 on the thing was to smile. Like, supposedly it makes you and other people happier. Like, again, kind of like makes sense. Number 2 was don't criticise people when it's not deserved. 3 was to show your appreciation to others frequently, to say thank you and compliment them when it's relevant. Like, 4 is to show an interest in others, so like be more of a listener than a talker. Number 5 is to focus on similar interests and beliefs to other people. 6 is to remember specific information about people, like their names, their I don't know, where they live, and that kind of thing. And is to avoid arguing with people, like, a bit obvious, but never tell anyone they're wrong when it's opinion based. 8 is to openly admit when you've done something wrong or you've made a mistake. And finally, 9 is to go through the things you agree on so you connect more with each other. Like, even though I thought this was quite obvious, like, I still think it's good to be reminded about this kind of thing, and like, I think it will help me selling to people, I guess. Like, although I do think it gets to a point where you're being a little bit fake by following all this. Like, follow it to a degree, but I don't really think you want to do it gospel. Like, talking about motivation earlier, like, I'm quite interested to hear sort of like what your motivation is. Like, I keep going about me, but like, I'm quite interested to hear what you say. Man, I really need to get back on the hustle, man. Like, I've been so distracted by Snapchat today. Like, it's been ridiculous. Like, I need to get back on it properly. So I've been talking to Brandon and Christian on this Snapchat, and like, I want to sort of try and explain what I meant by what I said about the book yesterday. It's important to use like these social skills, but like only in like a genuine way. Like, don't go abusing it, otherwise it's like inauthentic and unethical. I think. I don't think you should sort of try and pretend you've got exactly the same interests as everyone and like agree on everything. Like, but again, it is still useful in the right way. These skills are. Gonna watch this short Gary Vee video, like, and tell you what I think after. I guess, like, completely agree with what he said. Like, you can't sort of like set up your own company and be like, what? There's actually work to do. Like, yeah, that's part of the deal. I'm just gonna listen to this podcast. Like, this is more sort of specific to what I'm doing rather than sort of business in general. But I'll tell you what I pick up from it if I pick up anything. Just finished listening to that podcast. I just want to sort of go through what I learned from it. Really, like, some of it's applicable to you guys' businesses and mine in the future, hopefully. So I'll go through it. So the first thing I picked up was to look at reviews of competitors, so you can see what they're doing right and wrong and what people liked about it, so you can improve your products or services. The second was to get a number of quotes from suppliers, so you can compare and contrast and help you in negotiations when you get down to it. The third is a bit more of an opinion. Like, I find at least I'm partially motivated by competitions. Like, hearing people's numbers on this thing helps me out. Like, just catch you up with Daily V. Like, see what he puts out today. Well, that was a waste of time. Turns out it was the same video that he posted on Saturday, so I think it was like a re-upload. But oh well. Wow, wow, wow. What a bad day. I think like posting all these figures like does bring some sort of accountability motivation in. Like, it's pretty embarrassing, but like hopefully it will sort of motivate me more for later.